Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Lavochkin 5 sitting at 3.0 battle rating, also known as the La-5. Now, this plane is awesome. It is an energy fighter that can boom and zoom and turn fight as well, but its main strength is energy fighting below 3800 meters. Why 3840 meters actually, to be exact? That is the point where the web stops to work and it does absolutely nothing above that altitude. Gives you nothing extra. So your speeds at 45 and at 6500 meters are the same. Anything above 3840 you have no web. So that being said, this plane is a fantastic energy fighter, and it can also boom and zoom much better than anything that we reviewed before lately in the Soviet line, and it can turn fight as well, especially with flaps. It is not the most awesome, it actually is the least good role, but I would say energy fighter, boom and zooming, and turn fighting in that order, and then you have to look at what you're fighting. If you're facing a XP50, you can defeat that. P40, you can defeat that. P38, you can defeat that in turn fighting. That Spitfire over there, you will not defeat it. But anyway, you can give them a run for their money, especially below 3800. With your web working, with your flap usage, you can give a not as good pilot in a Spitfire a fantastic run for their money, and you can actually defeat them. I did it on multiple occasions. In my flyouts, it is not that far off a Spitfire. Now Zero you will have more troubles with in this thing, but yeah. Let's go into the speeds. The maximum speed in this plane at sea level without web is 485 kilometers an hour, and with web 514. At 4500 meters this is 434 both with and without web, and the same goes at 6500 meters. It's then 411. These speeds are in indicated airspeed without web. Now, as I said, 3840 meters is the maximum for the web, and below that this thing rocks. It is a fantastic plane there that in energy fighting role is enjoyable. You can boom and zoom with it, and you can even turn with it, and it gives people a definite run for their money in anything, but the most dedicated turn fighters can outright defeat this plane in a maneuver fight. And if you're not a dedicated turn fighter and you're in something of a boom and zoomer or something, be very careful when you approach an La-5, because man, they can wreak havoc. Anyway, top speed in a dive 699 before she redlines and 780 before she rips apart. That is a far cry above anything we've seen so far that we've reviewed in the Soviet line. 699 is a very nice red line, and 780 is 81 kilometers an hour higher. That is also a bigger window compared to many of the Soviet planes you've seen before, so this might actually be the best boom and zoomer we've seen so far. It also has less wing rippage, and it is much sturdier in those longer dives. Now you still cannot compete with the maximum speed in a dive, with the top speed that some of the American planes can reach, but 780 is definitely much better than many of the Yaks and the Legs and the MiGs. So there is that, that is good. Is that the effective dive speed? Not completely, of course. You do get compression in the roll rate at 450 and a little bit more at 600, but also these windows are quite late. Many planes start there at around 450, some are a little earlier, some a little later, but the second tick in the roll rate at 600 comes quite late, so this plane stays reasonably maneuverable in dives, and that makes the handling in a dive for a Soviet plane exceptional. Yes, exceptional to anything that we have seen so far, and that is good. So much better in the boom and zoom role, which is one of the roles I enjoy a lot, of course. Going into boom and zoom runs, transitioning into energy fighting, and sometimes turn fighting when you get a turn fighter on your hands is very lovely. Stall speed in the plane is also good with 100 kilometers an hour. Firepower in the plane is good You have two 20mm Schwach cannons with 170 rounds per gun, and you can also equip two 50kg bombs on it, but really don't see the use of that except maybe in ground RB. But in ground RB I guess you can take other planes like the IL-2. There's no reason why you should take an La-5 into ground RB in the Soviet line around this battle rating. There is much better to get there, as the La-2 is also a fucking beast, as you may or may not know. Now the ammo loads on this plane are decent, as we've seen so far with the 20mm cannons. They usually get around 120 rounds. You now get 50 rounds more per gun. Of course you do have the absence of the Barasin, which is unfortunate, but the 20mm they function quite well enough on their own. Although they used to be better, that's for sure. But hey, we can't want it all, right? The acceleration in this plane when it comes to performance in a straight line is decent to good. In a dive it's good. And the energy retention, both in the horizontal and the vertical, is very good. I really like this plane as an energy fighter. At the 3.0 battle rating, she performs very nicely, and it is definitely a top contender below 3800, as I said. She really does well there, and made for the mid to lower altitudes, lower to mid altitudes. It's awesome. Climb rate in the plane is good. It might be very close to very good, below 3800 with the web engaged, but overall I'd say it's good. As I said, the turn time is the least part of this plane's strengths. It is above average and decent with flaps. The flaps only rip off at around 540 kilometers an hour. Which is all right. I mean, it's about the average for the Soviets plane so far. We've seen numbers between 540 and 590 with the reviews I did lately. So 540 fits right in there. Same kind of technology there, right? But anyway, those flaps are all right, and they help quite a bit in the turn rate. The roll rate is decent as well, which is quite a bit better than some of the other planes we've seen so far, which were often in the roll rate below average. So this really is a nice maneuvering plane that outshines pretty much anything that we've seen so far in the Soviet 3, both in maneuverability, in energy fighting capability, and in boom and zooming potential. You just have bigger windows, more to work with, and it shows. It really shows. This plane nets you very steady results, and well, with a little bit more luck in these matches that I've shown you here, I could have had aces in both of them, and they were the first matches that I flew. And after that I got a lot of 3-kill matches and stuff like that. So it is a great earner, and it's one of the first really shiny points in the Soviet line, even though they have great biplanes and stuff like that, and there is some very decent planes all around in the Soviet tree. It is definitely one of those trees where you get a lot of quality, but it's never specialized quality. And I would say with this plane, it is the first plane that really shows an energy fighting main role. That she really shines at below that 3840 meters, and that's just awesome to see the Soviets' first specialized plane, more or less. And it can do the other roles, as I said. It can do some of the other roles. It can do it fairly decent. So this is the first one I wouldn't actually call a jack of all trades. Well, the MiGs are boom and zoomers mainly. They are not. But you know what I mean. This really nice to see something that works really well as an energy fight, and that is great. Yeah. So overall maneuverability is decent. The overheating is not an issue in this plane. Really, with prolonged web usage, this plane doesn't overheat at all. I did not have any issues with it, didn't even have to look at cooling down the plane, so this is definitely one of the top contenders when it comes to overheating. No problem. Durability is decent to good. It can take a hit or two. It is it's quite sturdy and it feels very good compared to some of the planes that we reviewed, the MiGs, the Yaks, the Lag. When it comes to ripping in dives and stuff like that, and the feeling, getting a comfortable feeling in the plane, like she's steady, she's solid, you definitely get that in the La-5, and that is one of the first ones to do that, and I like it. I like it. It gives a more solid feeling to the plane, and yeah, so very nice there. As I said, we use it as an energy fighter, but I do start boom and zooming with it because of the tactical positioning, right? I mean, you do face some opponents that are better at the higher altitudes, but this 411 at 6,500 meters in a straight line is a very nice speed there. This is definitely not a slow plane overall. On the higher altitudes here, most of the Soviets definitely drop off at those higher battle ratings, except for the MiGs. But in the leg, in the La lines, in the La line, yeah, this one is the first one that stays above 400 kilometers an hour at those altitudes, which is a very nice thing to have because it allows you to start as a boom and zoomer in this plane. And you do have to side climb a little bit, as there are definitely planes that can out climb it in the opposition that you face a lot, like some of the Spitfires, like the 109s. Although for some reason Germany and the Soviets are flying a lot together these days. We do get quick cues, but not quite historic, is it? But anyway, when you do face them, you can not necessarily outclimb them one-on-one. You can until a certain altitude, because this plane really climbs very nicely up until that 3800 point with the web, but after that it becomes a little bit less good, right? So that's obvious. But I still start as a boom and zoomer and wait, be patient and work my way down. But I guess with this plane you can also hang at around 4,000 meters and take planes into maneuver fights with you and then surprise them. But there is more risk in that, and I'm always trying to avoid the more risky situations. But she's definitely capable of it. Let's have a look at this scoreboard with the 4-kill match. Final blow, the best squad, Terror of the Sky and Bulletproof, first place in the team. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. The La-5, the Lavochkin. You gotta take it, you gotta fly it. It is an enjoyable plane. And this line only keeps getting better from this point onwards. The La-5 is the start of the main focus going to energy fighting for these planes. And it can do boom and zooming much better than what came before. It can also turn fight, especially below 3,500 meters, or the 38, what I mentioned, 3840 I believe it was. And it's just awesome there. It's just awesome. She can transition between those roles very nicely. You could call it a jack of all trades because she does everything decently well, but she really starts to shine in the energy fighting role here. And with the La-5F, the La-5FN, and then the La-7, that only starts to increase and becomes more pronounced and becomes really an energy fighting beast, this line of planes. It's awesome. They are awesome, and you definitely got to look at them because it's a joy to fly. It feels much more solid than what came before. And also the Yak line, for example. Less problems with ripping wings and stuff like that. Be very, very aware when you fly against an La-5, because if there's a good pilot in there below 3,800 meters, she's going to be a real contender to 109s, to Spitfires, and she's going to be hell for P-40s and P-38s and stuff like that when it comes to maneuvering. So pay attention, guys, because this is a good plane. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.